Item number 10E, adopt a resolution authorizing and approving funding for 2010-11 capital improvement projects.
Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council, as you well know, the City Council annually approves a capital improvement program and CIP budget with the city's operating budget each year, or at least within a very short period after the operating budget has been approved. This year, the response and recovery efforts related to the Glenview fire disrupted the regular schedule for City Council review and approval of the current year's 5-year capital improvement program and the 2010-11 capital budget. In light of the fact that we are now well into the second half of the fiscal year, staff recommends utilizing a different capital budget process to allow for capital improvement projects to proceed through June of 2011. First, staff will immediately begin developing the 2011-12 capital improvement program to allow for the 5-year capital program and budget to be approved in the normal June time period. Secondly, in lieu of a complete capital improvement program, the City Council is being presented this evening a resolution related to 2 groups of capital projects. One group needs appropriations to allow the 2010-11 work program for existing previously approved projects to proceed through June 30th, 2011. A majority of these projects were approved in 2009-10, and in accordance with the approved program, require additional appropriations this year for work to proceed. The other group, consisting of a total of 8 projects, are new in 2010-11, and these projects all require appropriations for work to commence and begin moving towards completion. In recent years, the complete capital improvement program has included up to 100 current year and future year projects. The modified approval process reduces the need for the City Council to review and take action to a significantly smaller number of projects, a total of 8 new projects and an additional 21 existing projects. I'd like to just take a minute and review the highlights of a couple of the projects with the Council, and then with Jim Shannon from Public Services and the department heads would be glad to answer questions or discuss any of the projects with the Council. The first new project, and these 4 are 4 of the 8 new projects, is development of a climate action plan. The climate action plan provides for developing a strategic and tactical plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from city operations and within the community, and is required by our city's general fund. The second project is the Cycle 1 Federal Aid Street Rehabilitation Project, which the Council has previously taken action on, but this again is appropriating these funds. This project will be going out to bid later this year for overlay work on Crestmore, and depending on the bid amount, could include work on Oakmont also. The third project I wanted to mention is Well 15, the Commodore Park well replacement. This project is being proposed that would allow for acceleration of replacement of this particular well. The funding for this year is $200,000 from the Water Enterprise Fund, and again, after 25 years of service, it's been determined that acceleration of this project is warranted, and that is being recommended at this time. The last of the 4 projects that I wanted to mention was the Glenview Neighborhood Reconstruction Project, which would begin the design and planning for infrastructure improvements and replacement in the Glenview fire area. This would include the neighborhood streets, sidewalks, street lights, water lines, sewer lines, storm drain lines, as well as the replacement and reconstruction of the neighborhood park. Preliminarily, this is viewed as over a $3 million project, the appropriation requested tonight is for $200,000 that would begin the design and engineering work on this project so that it can proceed as quickly as possible. Again, just wanted, so those, the highlights of the new projects. I mentioned there were 21 projects where additional appropriation is requested. Wanted to just mention, for instance, and Will Anderson mentioned it briefly, the phase 1 of the El Camino median project, which included the completion of 5 medians. There's an additional $25,000 requested merely to close out that project. It's at the end, and we need $25,000 more to complete that project. And then the item that you took action on tonight, the street median and Grand Boulevard improvement program, actually appropriating the money that was described earlier, is on the list. For the library facility maintenance program, there's the introduction, as all PLS libraries are doing, the radio frequency ID, the tagging system that would allow for greater security and monitoring of the checkout items within the library. There's the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act paving project, which is the significant street paving project for this year. There's additional appropriation for the Caltrain grade separation project that was mentioned to the council when they last appropriated money last year, that would be really a several-year project that would require appropriation, and that is included. There's traffic calming, both the Fleetwood Drive and the neighborhood traffic calming projects. And then the last highlight I just wanted to mention was the commercial data and voice services, which is expansion of the cable's commercial data and voice program. The council took action several meetings ago to have that work done over in the Bay Hill and the Bay Hill Office Center, and this is actually again appropriating the funds for that project that the council has approved. So the total appropriations before the council in the resolution come to a little over $4.3 million. 1.3 of that is for new projects. The existing projects are requiring a little less than $3 million in order to reach that total of $4.3 million indicated in the resolution. And with that, I would be glad, and again, others would be glad to answer any questions or discuss any of the projects with the council.
Good. Any questions?
Through the
Ken?
chair. This Commodore well replacement, whether the subcommittee can answer the question or not, but I mean, how realistic is it to rate, to set aside $2.7 million, by 2015? Are we, especially when you're saying that you want to start construction next year, 2012, is that money going to be available through our ratepayers? Or is this an ambitious savings program, to put $200,000 away this year and then hope to have some money in the next 4 years?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Jim Shannon. I'm a management analyst with the Public Services Department. For the well replacement, that replacement was always budgeted into our rate study that was completed a couple of years back. I think we're in the second year now of the 3-year rate adjustment. Even with that accelerated time frame, given sort of the balancing acts of the other projects, the acceleration of this project is still well within the limits of that rate model. So we certainly expect to have the revenues available at the time that is described in the project before you.
Okay. So I mean, it's just that it's laid out at 2011 to 2015, 2.7 million, and it sounds ambitious, but I mean, if I were to see 2011, 2012, how much you'd put away, from rates or whatever, then I guess, you know, it would look more realistic.
Right,
or
right. I
more
mean, I think it's
promising.
just sort of squinched in there. I don't know
Yeah.
the exact breakdown, but I mean, it is certainly phased in.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Rico?
Going on to some of the new projects, the well was already asked, and so I appreciate that. On the BART closeout, the 75,000, I understand the reason, and I'm just to get off the topic on it a little bit. There's the Bay Shore Circle area that my understanding is BART owns, and we've maintained, and I brought this up before, and that's when Scott Bushman came about the condition of it, and it was addressed and it was cleaned up. And what I have not really received an answer is, I believe it's still being maintained as we speak. However, obviously, there's reductions in staff and services. And I'm wanting to make sure that we are somehow being made whole for our time that is being spent on their property. That's something that I've asked. I haven't really had an assurance of that. I think we want to continue to be maintained, but not on our dime. It's not our property. That was just one question. I don't know. Okay. On the renewable energy, I'm just wondering how we gauge it as far as, you know, when they did City Hall and all the facilities were done. How are we really gauging the savings? If our bill was $100 this month, is it $80 after it's done? I mean, that's something that I've always asked about City Hall. How are we going to gauge what the savings and the investment and the time? And I understand we need to come up with conservations and other aspects, but I'm wondering, how are we really gauging a good outcome for our investment?
Yeah, I just asked, were you referring specifically to the energy efficiency
Yes.
retrofit program or the renewable energy?
Hey,
Look-
energy's energy. Throw it
Oh,
together.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we don't have final figures yet, but there is a rebate a program available to cities in San Mateo County. It's called San Mateo County Energy Watch, and they perform audits of government facilities, government buildings, and so I mean, literally the report is not out yet, but the early indications they've gone through and done a preliminary analysis of where the city could sort of save some money for energy efficiency. And quite frankly, there's not a lot more that we could do. So which I take it as a success of the previous renovations that were done on City Hall and those city facilities, that those investments for efficiency, those projections by, I think Siemens was the vendor that did those energy savings calculations, proved accurate. So that's one way to measure the success, is to see what more could we do now. Not a whole lot, it turns out, from what we've already done. And in terms of maybe some of these other programs, you know, for example, with the energy retrofit program, there are specific audits that are out there. Methodology has come a long way just the past few years to give a rating on a residential building, a home, for example, to see, which gives a sort of numerical calculation of what the energy efficiency of that home is. And the science is getting pretty good at calculating for X improvements, you get Y results. So we're starting to see some real efficient ways to measure effectiveness of some of these energy efficiency programs.
Next one was the direct sales project, cable TV. This is a direct sales project, which is, I'm assuming is for when we've been going to the new campaign, door to door. And what I'd like to know is, how is that going? Where are we measured that as far as good, bad? How many months have we had it? How many have we acquired? Have we achieved our goal? Are we on our way? Are we behind what we had hoped?
The direct sales campaign, my name is Tenzin Gelson, I'm the cable television director. The direct sales campaign began in July of last year, and so far the campaign has generated about 2,000 additional sales. The sales that have been generated mostly have been upgrades, people subscribing to additional HBOs, additional showtimes, premium services, people that are upgrading with phone service or internet services. We were hoping to generate additional core basic cable customers, core internet customers. That's what we're hoping for, because we've seen a lot of customers switch over to other providers that have come in San Bruno, such as AT&T and DirecTV. They've all been strong competitors. So we're trying to generate some of those customers to come back to San Bruno Cable, and we're trying to do that through the door-to-door sales campaign. It has been effective. We've generated 2,000 upgrades But as I said, we did not generate the core basic cable customers we're hoping to get back. So despite the fact that we've been continuing the campaign since July of last year, we did not have to spend a whole lot of capital funds to acquire these set-top boxes or EMTAs or cable modems. Because of that, we were able to use inventory on hand. The other thing was our offer wasn't as strong as well to compete in the market. We offered free installation, free 1-month service, and free activation. The campaigns, the other competitors that are running are 5 months free, very competitive rates, so it's been hard to compete. So we're in the process of going back to the Cable Television Subcommittee with a new offer that we can restart the door-to-door sales campaign. And if that campaign, we were to begin that campaign, then we might need additional equipment. And this project that we have here is really to augment any additional equipment needs that we would generate from the sales campaign.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, since July, we've increased by $2,000 in sales.
No, we've increased 2,000 additional net revenue-generating units. So, for example, if you had a cable customer that had digital cable, and now they've added HBO to their account or Showtime to their account, so that would generate incremental revenue for us. So we count that as a revenue-generating unit. So far we generate over 2,000 revenue-generating units through the campaign starting July.
And how many new customers?
I
I know that was not what you had hoped thus far,
Exactly.
but what does this tell us as far as brand new subscribers or folks that have come back? How many is that?
We've had losses. There's no net gains so far this year. We're down about close to 500 customers, basic cable customers, through 8 months into the year.
So with the campaign, we have not gained a new subscriber, is that what you're saying?
We have not gained no net new gain subscribers. We always see a tremendous amount of churn. There's been a huge activity where we constantly get customers in, and then customers are also leaving. So there's a huge amount of churn. So there's not been any net new gains through the last 8 months.
Okay, so the money then we're setting aside is for potentially newer upgrades of potential new subscribers, which we haven't thus far been that lucky to get.
That's correct. So basically, in the event that the sales campaign is effective and we need additional equipment, then we would come to City Council with a staff report to acquire the additional equipment. Otherwise, we'll use existing inventory on hand to turn out the new customers.
All right, let me think about that, but thank you. To move on, some of the existing really quick, and then I'll stop. The sidewalk repair program, I believe that's to continue, and I know I'm on the subcommittee. We were trying to take care of those that were 3/4 of an inch elevated. And I just wanted to make a note of 165 and 175 DeSoto. Looking at those, I think that there's quite an elevation, and that's a major thoroughway that's traveled in and out of the park, and that's just an FYI. On the phone system replacement project, obviously I know the phone system in our city is over 10 years old, because I know I still worked here when we updated the last system. Is that something that is absolutely necessary at this time? Is that something that can be postponed? Is that something that we need to do because of what we're trying to do as far as the business is concerned with cable?
Sorry, I missed part of the question. I think it was part of the phone system replacement. The phone system replacement, the city had budgeted $185,000 to be spent over 2 years to replace the legacy Mitel phone system that we had. So when cable television launched its commercial services and bought equipment for the commercial services project, at that point in time, we bought the Cisco Call Manager system that does IPPBX system services. So at that point in time, the city converted from the Mitel telephone system to the IPPBX system, the Cisco Call Managers. At that point in time, the plan was that the city would pay back cable for the portion of the cost of the equipment. So currently, the Cisco PBX has a seat of about 2,000 users that it can support on the Cisco Call Managers. The city uses about 250 of those seats on that call manager. So the city is essentially paying a proportionate share of the number of seats on that call manager. The rest, San Bruno Cable will be selling to business customers such as Prudential or whoever else that might be out there that are our customers. That make sense? So this is really
So this is the second year of the
Yeah.
city's commitment for the purchase of the upgraded phone system. So we're not going out and buying anything
Okay,
new.
thank
This
you.
is an
Yeah.
obligation that the city council established
That's
where
what I
the
wanted
city
to
was going to
clarify.
pay over 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? Action?
I'll introduce the resolution authorizing and appropriating funding for the 2010-11 capital improvement projects.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.